So, hello and welcome to the Gilbert and Singh podcast with me, George Gilbert. Unfortunately, Jas Singh, my fellow co-star in this, can't be with us today, so I'm going solo. So today I have another special guest, Mr. Simon Spencer from the real estate world in the UAE. So, Simon, how are you?
I'm very good, Mr. Gilbert. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate that. So the idea of the podcast today is I just want to talk about your experience in the UAE and to see if we can add value to the audience out there. So just to kick off, give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself in terms of how long you've been here and what you've been doing over the last 7 or 8 years.
Of course, yes. Well, I've been here now for nearly 8 years. Goes so fast.
It does.
It goes really,
I think you're one ahead of me.
Yeah. No, it does go very, very quickly. So long time in the region, doing various different styles of real estate. So originally started with the villa communities.
Yeah.
End users, helping them purchase in Arabian ranches, those sorts of areas. Then from there, I went across to doing a little bit of the work with direct developers.
Yep.
Which was very good as well. And now I've swung back to local market, and also I was doing international market for a while. So
right, okay.
From looking after the clients here that we had in the region, but they were interested about purchasing outside. So in central London, different places of Europe.
So that's quite a broad spectrum. So obviously you've gained a lot of knowledge in each of the individual areas, and I think you've probably now picked a niche that you feel suits you.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing real estate here in the UAE then?
Over 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're well embedded into seasoned professional into that sector. I mean, there's been all sorts of ups and downs and waves with real estate. I mean, are we in one of the toughest times now for real estate, would you say, or are we potentially in a really hot time right now?
So yeah, it's been a very interesting couple of months, and what I've worked on, especially the last 3 or 4 months, is actually brought myself to helping the clients in the region that are purchasing in the region, and also helping my sellers and owners and things, because at the moment there is a huge amount of opportunity in the market. I think the market's got to the point where if you're an individual and you have been renting here for many years, sort of coming up to similar periods to us here, you're thinking, look, I see longevity here in the region. I've been spending a lot of money on rent, especially if you're a family or something. You have a 3 or 4 bedroom villa. They've got to the point where, okay, I can actually afford something I want to buy now. That's where the market's got to.
So it's come to a level now where it is more affordable for people to seriously consider buying.
Exactly. And I think especially as Europeans are kind of like thinking, you know what, even in euro or sterling terms, the villas that we're looking at, they're not horrendous.
No.
They're not outrageously expensive now.
And also there's a lot of places or new build developments coming up. I know not so much central, but you know, okay, it's fantastic living in the marina, but I think a lot of people are seeing value now from being outside of the marina, and I think you specialise now in Dubai Hills.
Exactly.
That's a very hot area, I would say. Like right now, are they still building there?
They are. So they've had a few phases that have handed over and are in the handover process at the moment. So that's what we're incredibly busy with, is because clients, they've got a lot of choice. Got a lot of choice in the market. But one thing they're all looking for is something of good value, good location, and also that they don't have to go and spend a lot of money on and do up.
Yeah.
Because there's villas here that have been, say they're 10, 12 years old, but they need a bit of work.
Yeah, that's true.
So Dubai Hills is offering something where a client can come in, they've got essentially an upgraded villa because it's brand new, it's got good facilities, good kitchens, bathrooms, etc., and they can just move in and they're good to go.
Fantastic. So would you say it's the right time for people to be buying now? I know everybody talks about it. It's a hot topic.
You'd wish to have that magic crystal ball.
I know.
Are we at the bottom of the market? What's going on? Honestly, it's so hard to tell. But what you have to look at, I think, really is what's affecting the market here is supply and demand hugely. Now, if I was purchasing something, I'd want to make sure I was purchasing a product of good quality.
So just quickly back to the supply and demand thing. So is there an oversupply? I know there certainly was an oversupply, and I didn't know whether that had come back now to actually more of a sensible level.
It's calmed down a little bit. There is still a lot of units to be handed over in the next couple of years, and especially further out past like Arabian Ranches, further that way, there is a lot of projects that are going to be handed over. But the unique thing, and the thing that what I see value of Dubai Hills really is it's more central location to the whole of Dubai.
Which is great there with the Al Khail Road, in and out.
Exactly.
You're straight up to Abu Dhabi if you need to commute on a daily basis. Then you've got Business Bay and the various other areas. So I completely agree. I mean, it's an area that I would certainly be keen to look at. I think you can get a lot for your money.
Indeed.
I mean, what sort of value are we talking in that region for a 5-bed villa?
So we've got a fantastic 5-bedroom villa on the park in Sidra, and this now is on the market for 4.6 million dirhams. Okay. And this OP would have been 5.3.
Yeah.
Now it's got to a level where look, you can get yourself into there and have a great family villa.
Yeah.
And you've got like some of the townhouses you can get a nice 4 or 5 bedroom townhouse for 2.5 million dirhams.
Wow.
Very, very good. Very
yeah, that's a big difference. That's a huge difference. Yeah. So, I think we're going through. I think the next 2 months are going to be a very deciding time. Yeah. I think because a lot of people are going to have to, consider where, certainly families, where they're going to put their children for the new school term in beginning of September. So I think a lot of people are going to be making serious decisions as to whether, well, first of all, they can find work to be able to stay, or they're going to have to relocate back to their home countries, which, I feel for a lot of people that are going through that situation, it's not easy. So would you say people are buying properties at the moment for themselves, or would you say people are buying properties to let out?
So we are predominantly looking after clients that are end users, so they are buying for themselves and their family, and that is where we're seeing more attraction for the clients to be able to purchase. I think gone are the days of the investors coming in and buying a lot of villas. I think some shrewd investors are picking up your 1-bedrooms, your 2-bedroom units in the marina and downtown and popular areas, because there are some good deals to be had. I wouldn't say there's an abundance of distressed deals on the market, which is good, but there's
that's interesting. I mean, do you think that's
sellers? But
do you think that's because the country has supported people through this difficult time? I think the banks have really been on people's side, and that's great to see.
Exactly. Do you know what? And that's why I think lots of people are really thinking, okay, we've gone through a difficult time, and look how Dubai and the UAE has handled this situation. They've done a really good job with it.
That's good, because no one wants to go through a distress sale and someone potentially taking advantage of getting it, a rock bottom price.
Exactly.
So do you feel people are going to move kind of away from the apartment living and the Dubai Marina? I mean, I like Dubai Marina. I like, this is where we are at the moment. I like to fall out of the apartment onto Marina Walk there, and it suits me perfectly. We've got so many amenities locally, but I'm starting to think that, for my money, I can get so much space and so much outside space. I mean, with the people that you've worked with in the past that have specialised in other areas, where seems to be the go-to area, would you say, in Dubai right now?
I mean, you know what? It's all down to people's personal preferences and where they need to be on a daily basis. How many children they've got? Do they have children? What's their current lifestyle? I think the trend tends to be when you come to Dubai, you are definitely initially around the marina, especially as expats like ourselves, or on the Palm. We had a lot of fun on the Palm.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Palm. Well, actually, just a bit of history is Simon and I, we met 7 years ago, didn't we? And very close friends. and lived together on the Palm. We were in Marina Residence, and
Great place.
We thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact,
Yeah.
I never thought I was going to leave the Palm. I enjoyed being on the Palm so much because everyone was always conscious of the traffic, but certainly at that time there was never any issues. I think they've adjusted the infrastructure anyway, so there's not the speed bumps now.
And just smooth.
Yeah,
smoothly.
people are straight on and off of there.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, that's a completely different calibre, I would say, the villas on the Palm.
Oh yeah, there are some fantastic villas on there, and what's really nice to see as well is owners and are starting to do them up as well. So you're getting some quite unique properties on the Palm there.
Well, that's
and
good.
There's also plots that have been sold and they've built their own properties. So there's some quite unique properties there as well. But these are becoming good value.
Well, that's a kind of another point I wanted to quickly lead on to is, there are a lot of villas that are old and maybe haven't stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Are landlords now thinking that in order to get new tenants into the property, I have to seriously spend some money to upgrade it?
Sometime with the tenant side, I'm just dealing with the sales side, but it's good to see that sellers have done their houses up when they're putting them to market as well. They understand that if they've lived in there a while, there's a lot of not necessarily a lot of added value to the property. It just makes it more sellable to the right person.
Yeah,
for sure. Because it is you do see some properties that are upgraded that are very niche, shall we say?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They've kind of not gone very sort of even in terms of the audience that they're looking for. Exactly. Probably not the right word, but. The other one I wanted to say is, do you think property prices are going to climb? Let's look at some stages that are coming up in the UAE and the Middle East. So, for example, unfortunately for Expo is now, I believe, being moved back to next year.
Yeah.
You never know; it might be this year. It just depends on how we get through the corona pandemic. But if it is next year, 2021. And then a year later, there's the World Cup.
I think it's going to be a good time for the Middle East.
I think so. I think there's a lot of growth. Being in the construction sector myself, from a manufacturing perspective, I think there is huge potential here. I really do. And do you feel that will be reflected in property? Do you think there'll be a bit of a spike? Or do you think now, because the market has matured, that it's now at a nice, comfortable level that people can come in?
I think it's my honest feeling really is it has some softening to go, just purely with the supply and demand.
Yeah.
So I feel it has a little way to go. How far is exactly? It's a crystal ball, but I believe that Expo and other events are going to bring a little bit of stability. I don't think there's going to be a huge spike, but I think it will bring a little bit more stability into the market.
Yeah, it's like with anywhere. I think it eventually starts to find its level and a suitable level that it's affordable. The buyers speak.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing is what is someone prepared to invest and pay for something. Is there a particular nationality that's coming in? I think Indians historically were always huge investors here. Asians also were coming in a lot. Are you seeing a swing? Is there any change, or is that still?
No, it's still pretty much that. It's a huge broad amount of huge nationality spread that's purchasing. Huge nationality spread.
That's good.
And I think I'm going to go back to, I think UAE's done very well, and especially Dubai's done very well handling the situation, and that's also made people think, I see more longevity in the region. And one thing that I know the Expo will do is someone that's never travelled to the Middle East will see Middle East in a completely different way than maybe they perceived it before.
Yeah.
So you speak to so many people that are living here like ourselves, like myself. I came on holiday initially and I was like, oh, yes,
and you
this
never
place
left.
is good. And then I was like, 4 months later, I'm living here. Well,
it was the same for me. So 7 years ago.
I'm sure people will travel on business and they'll be like, yeah, I can run my company here. Yeah. Like, I can give my family a great lifestyle here. And then they'll start looking at real estate. So I don't think it will be an immediate spike, but I think there'll be a progression. It'll be moving in the right direction.
I think that as well, because things have changed massively, we're working more remotely than we've ever done.
That's very true.
I think that's the other thing, coming back to a valid point you've made there, is people can see this as a forever home.
Yeah.
I love the Middle East. I think it's great. I find the summer very challenging, and you always forget how hot it really gets. But the winter is phenomenal. I think if the weather was like that all year round, I think everybody would live here.
Insane.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to ask is, and this would be a question if I was asking it, because I really don't know, what is the process in terms of buying a property from start to finish? So, okay, let's go with where you're most familiar, which is Dubai Hills. Yep. I think I fancy a 5-bed villa. And what did we say? There were 4.5?
4.5. Do you know what? You could probably push. Yeah, 4.5 would get you a good one back into the park.
And is there still opportunities to buy off plan, or is everything pretty much?
So there are a few off plan opportunities, but what I would say is, if I was advising a family, look, purchase something that's ready. You're going to get the best price. You're more likely to be able to negotiate with an owner rather than a developer as such. So
yeah. So if I was buying a villa at 4.5 million dirhams, is there deposits involved? I know certainly in the UK, ideally to get the best interest rates, I think you need to be putting down 25%. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Exactly. So that's one thing that's boosted the market a little bit, is the loan to value has come down by 5%. So you can
just explain that to me.
Yeah. So all being well, you can go to a bank and you'd be able to get you'd only have to put down 25% of the value of the property.
Okay.
So then the bank would mortgage the remaining balance.
Okay, fine.
So that would be.
So you'd need to, you still need to find
a fair old chunk.
Yeah.
Like if you're, it is. It's not like
I'd have sleepless nights if I put 25% down.
Yeah, it's still that's why it has to be. It has to be right for the family and the individual in doing it. So.
And are there mortgages out there where you can pay less than that, or is that the safest and the most sensible way?
Yeah, that's the rule of thumb. You might be able to negotiate with the bank a little bit, but rule of thumb, 25% would be that. Then you have to bear in mind the fees that are involved as well. So you've got 4% land department.
Okay.
On top of that, which is the value of the house.
Wow. Okay. So 4.5 million plus then
you've basically got another 5% of fees to bulk it together.
Right. To add on to that. Really,
and then you've got obviously the brokerage fee, which is 2%.
Yeah.
So then you're talking altogether probably around 30% is a kind of the main rule of thumb that you'd want to have.
Okay. Right. Okay. Fine. So 5 or 6% on top of the just to get off the starting block, really. Yeah, exactly. No, unfortunately I don't think I'm in that wealth position that I can consider buying a villa. Maybe something smaller, like a 1-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom apartment in one of these other areas. What about, the question is, in terms of a real estate agent that is selling properties to end users, what kind of services can you offer? So mortgages, do you have connections to mortgage providers of which can offer the best deals? How does that work? Explain it to me.
So we work very closely with trusted advisors that are in our office. They come into the office a couple of times a week.
Okay.
They're independent, which I think is very good, because obviously you can go to your bank that you've got a relationship with, but if you go to an independent advisor, they can say to you, depending on your circumstances and what you've got in place, if you're self-employed, whatever your situation is, they can advise the best bank for you and give you competitive rates as well. Because obviously they get quite favoured rates because they're buying
it regularly,
and they've got this relationship with the banks as well. So
this is something that you would organise in the office, and the advisor would come in.
That's what I'd say. It's like, if I'm speaking to you, call me later today, and we have a conversation. We understand fully what you're looking for, and then I would say, look, before we go out and start looking at houses, let's make sure that you've got the finances in place to get that. And it's also peace of mind for yourself as well. You want to know, if you see a property that you really want to buy, that you've got essentially pre-approval. You want to make sure that you've been pre-approved of a certain value, to be able to then, if you like the property, to be able to think, you know what, yeah, I can move comfortably forward with this. But also, we want to reiterate that you don't want to put a huge amount of strain on yourself. You don't want to mortgage yourself really, really high.
Yeah.
Because we all know
it's easily done, and you know. Yeah, the problem is, and I've done it. You know, I was renting a villa, and you see something, you've just fall in love with it, and you think, I can just see myself here. This is perfect. And then when it comes to actually making those repayments, you know, I know it was checks then renting, but yes, I mean repayments every month to a mortgage provider. Yeah, you don't want to be putting yourself under so much pressure. Exactly. I mean, for me, my opinion on it is a stability thing for me as an individual. If I was looking to buy, that's what's always made me nervous. I mean, I look back and I wish, 7 years ago I'd seriously considered maybe buying something. I probably wouldn't have maybe made anything, but certainly in terms of the repayments on the mortgage, I may have even paid a substantial amount of it off.
But then unfortunately, if we'd bought as soon as we came here, it would have been, we probably would have unfortunately lost more than we've paid in rent. So we're evening out a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think the younger generation are favouring renting? And are you finding the older generation are tending to buy? Are people thinking, I like the flexibility of not locking my funds up anywhere?
I think, I mean, our clientele are people that have been in the region a good amount of time. They're more family orientated. They know that they're going to be here for a while. They're quite set. I mean, it would be to pull together like 30% and know that you're going to stay here for a long time. You'd really want to know that you're making that.
You're here for the long term,
choice.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any sort of things to try and look out for and avoid? Is there any sort of bad examples? I don't know whether you want to answer that or avoid that when buying. Is there the sort of things that you should look for when?
What I'd say is there's a lot of developers here in the region. Some are better than others. So in
terms of the quality of the work,
and I'd say the longevity of a property as well. So we won't name any, but
no, don't do that. You get us both in trouble.
Yeah.
So what about lease and freehold? Is it predominantly leasehold or freehold here? What's the deal there?
Yeah, so there's obviously different areas here. Like all of Jumeirah is leasehold.
Okay.
So you as expats we can't purchase there, and DIP as well is leasehold, but you can purchase there. My personal preference, I'd like to have a freehold property.
Yeah.
Just for peace of mind, really.
Well, I think so because my flatmate actually owns a property in London, and I think he's 91 years left on a 100-year lease, and he says that when it comes to selling the property, when it hits that below that 90 mark or close to that, people tend to shy away, or the property value isn't as great. So. What's the percentage of lease versus freehold? Is there more freehold now?
Most of the communities that we deal with are freehold villa communities. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. That's good. Just before we sort of bring it to an end, and I like to ask people this question: is there anything in particular that we perhaps haven't touched on? I've tried to ask certain questions that might add value, that someone might want to learn from that. Is there anything that I've missed? Is there anything that the company you're working for, whether you want to mention them or anything like that, and what you can bring to the table? Then
I'd say if you're a seller listening to this, we generate a huge amount of buyers' leads. We generate the most leads in many of the communities that we work with.
And is that because you've got a large marketing budget?
It's exactly that. And also just like we've been in the market for 10 years.
Yeah.
So we've got that relationship with either investors or just clients that have been with us since the start that may have come to Dubai and rented a property. Now they're buying a property. They've sold another one to upsize. That's another thing we're seeing in this market.
So where's the marketing budget being spent then? Is it being spent on social media marketing?
It's definitely the portals.
So
such as Property Finder, Bayut.
Okay.
Those are expensive.
Right. Okay.
They add a lot of value, but it's a costly process.
Okay.
That's why, when we get hold of a good property, we need to market it properly and put it out to clients, and that's why we charge fees. It's literally it's a marketing fee essentially.
Yeah. Okay. So you're covering your marketing fees. Oh, that makes sense. So I don't know whether you can answer this, but on average, how long would a property be sitting with you?
See, that's tough. But for example, like last week, we had a property that came onto the market in the Meadows, which is an incredibly popular area. The property was well priced and it was sold within a week.
Wow. Okay.
Because it was exclusive with the company, and they listened to our advice, and we gave them a realistic market appraisal and market price, and advised both parties through the process.
Yeah.
So if a property is brought to market in the right way, at the right sensible price, and you listen to what we say, we can do the business quite quickly.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because I think, unfortunately, like we were saying, if we'd bought 7 years ago, we're probably in a position where we're making loss, and that's hard for anyone to accept. So, I can see why people wouldn't. I mean, in worst case scenarios, have you held on to properties for a long time that have not been able to sell? Is there a particular reason why that is? Is it an area? Is it the quality of the property at that moment in time?
Really, the areas that we deal with are always very popular. They're your Emar or Nikhil or whatever. They're good communities. So if a property was to come on, it just comes down to the point whether the seller's being realistic with their price.
Yeah.
Because like a couple of properties that have sold recently, they've not been in the best shape, but people are buying these to do up now.
Yeah.
Like for example, a great villa in the Springs back into the lake can be good value now.
Yeah.
You can purchase that. It might look terrible right now, but you can go into it and spend a little bit of money and make it a really, really nice modern home.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that would certainly be something I would love to do, is create it, make your own, because
that's fun.
A lot of these properties they've just been, it's a blank canvas,
exactly.
Which is the most sensible thing to do when I guess building a property and being able to market it, because then people can envisage their own dream within that home. So where can people find yourself if they're a landlord and they want to sell a property, or they're a buyer and they're wanting to buy? How can people find you?
Of course. So we're Aspas Real Estate. We're based in Marina Plaza, just next door here.
Yeah.
And I'm Simon Spencer.
Simon Spencer from Aspas.
Exactly.
Very good. Well, Simon, thank you very much for joining me. Unfortunately, Jas couldn't join us, to add a bit of je ne sais quoi from him. But no, I really appreciate your time, and hopefully people have benefited from that. If we get any sort of questions or comments,
sure.
I'm sure you wouldn't mind sort of dipping in and out. And for any of guys that want to subscribe to the Gilbert and Singh podcast, we would welcome you on board. And what we're trying to do is always add value to people where we can. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this video, and thank you, Simon.